Hello, and welcome to the Grand Boulevard Coalition half hour. My name is William Penn. I am the president of Grand Boulevard Coalition / Grand Boulevard Prevention Service. And I had so much fun last week, and so many people called and say, man, William, could you come back and talk a little more about what you was talking about last week? So, I'm here. Welcome. I'd like to start off with just a little plug for upcoming event. Back to school is Tuesday, September 4th. And on that Monday, the Grand Boulevard Coalition and the Grand Boulevard Prevention Services are doing a back to school free haircuts and hairdos, so for guys and girls. And we will be giving away backpacks filled with school supplies. And that'll be on Monday, September 3rd, 2018. It's the 16th annual one from 9 to 12. And just go to the Grand Boulevard Coalition Facebook page to find out the participating hair locations, or just check your local barber in Bronzeville and see which one will be participating. And I look forward to meeting and shaking hands with some of my fans who like to come out and see this program. Okay, so if you remember last week we were talking a lot about how opioids is disturbing the community and how opioids is bad for the community. It's not helping, but it wound up being a lot more. Mental health is causing a lot of people to participate in this negative behavior. And some of my wonderful callers from last week did point out that one of the main problems is people are just hurting and they just crying out for somebody to listen to them, to talk to them. And I know one of the phrases we said last week was, just shut up and listen, which I'm going to get a shirt. So one of these days I'm going to come and be on the air with my branded shirt. And so with that, and a lot of different conversations with our political will in Bronzeville. As you know, we have a great college, Illinois Tech, and a hospital in our community, and a public hospital. And after talking to a lot of people, I found that one of the things that we're going to push forward for the end of this year and more so next year, we're going to be working, starting a campaign to mobilize community-driven health services. So this campaign that we'll be doing a little bit is to continue our education of our youth and not use drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes. But we're going to also have a driven campaign where we're talking now to our state reps, our state legislation, even our congressmen and senators that are in Washington, D.C., and seeing how we can affect change and affect policy by empowering our community to spread the word about positive living, clean living, and how we can stem the tide of the illicit trade of opioids, marijuana, cigarettes, and alcohol. And so with that, I'm going to be working a little bit more on the platform and some of the 4 or 5 points that we're really trying to drive home to our political people, and with the help of the local hospital, local colleges, local people like yourself that's saying this is what we need. And when we all come back down to the root of the thing, we found that mental health is a big issue, and a lot of people are not getting the needed help and the needed services. One, due to budget cuts. 2, because a lot of budgets were cut, a lot of programs ended, but there was no one to fill the vacuum of these ended programs where there were money that was still available or agencies that are still doing it. And people just didn't know. They knew, you always go to, Rush Hospital, and if Rush Hospital, for example, closed, you might not know where the other hospital you might need to go to get these services. So our job and our mission is one of our main points is to find out who's serving who where, what type of services they have. Are they at capacity? If they're not, what is their capacity to bring what they're doing into the Bronzeville area, into the south side of Chicago? And where can we have these meetings like AA and people just talking and having a chance to talk to somebody who will, again, just shut up and listen. And then at the end of they're done, if they say, I need help, or what do you think, or what's your opinion, or where do I need to go, to be able to give them that information and the feedback that they need. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, continuation from last week. I also wanted to put a shameless plug out here for my upcoming event. Let me go to the overhead camera. Boom. I know this is a terrible, I'm gonna get a better flyer for my next time. But again, we at Grand Boulevard Coalition, Grand Boulevard Prevention Services, Living Lab from Illinois Tech, we're doing Bronzeville Speaks. Bronzeville Speak started a year ago when we went into the Bronzeville community and asked people, what would they, if they had an opportunity to come and listen to somebody talk, what would you want them to talk about? What is your issues? What is the problems that you're having? Or what's going good and you can share with us? And with that, one of the major things was drug overdose and just people using drugs wrong and not properly, and how opioids was having an effect on a lot of families in our area and community. And so we brought together a statewide community forum for change, which we're calling, it's on Bronzeville Speak. So it's opioid addiction crisis, a community response. And one of the things that we wanted to, and this will be the third one in September, and it's so great that it's the third Saturday in September that we'll be doing it. And we'll actually be doing, having a dramatic guest speaker who will motivate you to just be the best person that you could possibly be. And we just look forward to that. And I just wanted to put that plug out there for that and let people know that it's coming the third Saturday in September. And I hope to see a lot of people there. It's limited seating. I think we only have seating for like 150 people. And the last one, we was up to 70 people. So now, as this is beginning to grow with this TV, social media, and me out there meeting people every day, a lot of more people are taking notice of what we're doing and want to be a part of it. I am back. So let's get into the meat of things here. Why do people need things to help them cope with their lives? That's a question that's always on my mind, but I've never been able to ask people that and see why they turn to cigarettes, they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol. Maybe some of my weekly callers will call in and give me some of their feedback on that. I know a couple of them have beat the odds and are still clean living and doing all the things that they are supposed to do and living a clean life. A while back, I did get a chance to talk to a participant of AA, and they, again, was having pains and trouble because nothing seemed like was going right for them. They seem to be always on the short end of the stick, I guess is what they say. And it started with high school, and they just started sipping a little bit until they became full-fledged alcoholics. And then from there, they did get themselves clean and went to AA. And I think the young man that I spoke to is now 10 years of clean living. Congratulations to you, sir. I know you're watching me today, and I just wanted to tell you that I'm really proud of you and keep up the good work. But I know one of the things that we talked about was having those meetings when they get around in a circle and kind of talk about their problems, and just having, again, people listening, they get the words out of their head, and a lot of people get caught up with their things in their heads, and it stays there and it doesn't come out. And by it not coming out, it makes you go to dark places and just do things that are just not feasible or just not right. And you might not want to, but because you feel that pain, you just want to kill that pain. You want that pain to stop pounding. It's like a headache. You want it to stop pounding. And one of the things that people do is to turn to those avenues versus seeking help. But when people say you need to go seek help, a lot of times people don't know what that means. Well, I mean, what do seeking help mean? Does that mean you go to your primary care doctor, if you had a doctor, and say, my head is hurting because I hear voices in my head? Or do you go to a psychiatrist or whatever, people who are in that field? There's maybe one step below a psychiatrist who kind of has some training that can at least talk to you and get you the type of potential help that you need. So the question is, what type of screenings do we need to put in place for everybody? Is this not somebody who we know from the person that's walking down the street barefoot, talking to themselves all day, not messing with nobody, to the, unfortunately, today's youth who are either bringing guns to school and selling scores, or want to kill their pain by hurting others before they hurt themselves, which is a show all in itself how that actually transpires, that you feel comfortable in hurting other people as you hurt yourself versus just hurting yourself. But what do you guys think? Should we have some type of overall screening for everybody? I mean, everybody has issues. Nobody is sane in general. I see people are really thinking because nobody's calling me. So hopefully somebody's calling me in a few to help me and help me guide people who are watching out here today through this whole process and coming up with this dialogue that I'm trying to put out there and get feedback from, to make what services are currently here, if we never got any more or new money to help in this area with the services that are now being funded and will have funding, how do we maximize what they're doing? And they've come to me and said, we don't have money, but we have resources, but we have the capacity of 150 people, but we're only seeing 75. So there's 75 more people that we can see, and the resources is going a waste. And we know how us in America is, we have a lot, and so we tend to waste a lot of things, and a lot of times people don't know that resources are being wasted a lot of time. And so how do we stem that tide and not do that? So that was the main thing of the talk today, and I guess everybody's just speechless, because normally my friends, John and the rest of them, kind of call in and say, hey man, I like what you're saying and this is what I think. So while we wait for all those wonderful people to give me a call, let's continue down with some of the thoughts in my head. Maybe I'll just talk to you guys and get the thoughts out of my head, so where I'll be sane and so on and so forth. So what campaign to mobilize community-driven health services do you feel we don't have now in the city of Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, in the south suburbs, just in general? I was listening to the gentleman who was on the air just before me, and how he was talking about, well, he was getting political, but how to enact, I guess, positive voter registration, positive get people out to vote. And I know he's talking about the big mayoral campaign that's coming up, and how that's going to have an effect, and how you need to continue to be in that process. It's just not all the way up to the day that you vote. And after that day, even if you do go vote, even then after that day, you think you're done for another 4 years. That's not how democracy works. So that's enough on that. But when we do have our mayor sitting right here talking about mental health issues, what do we want him to know that he might not already know, or his lieutenants and soldiers don't know, and aldermen who are out there in the streets every day, and what's going on? Do we try to enact some type of campaign to educate, educational program, starting with our as early as our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade children? I have a 6th grader this year, and see what's going on in their head and how they're processing their lives as they're growing up, and they having a big, their big thing is, oh my God, I got to pick a high school, and I got to go make new friends and do all this stuff all over again. And if they had a painful or had problems while they were in grade schools, that they might be feeling kind of overwhelmed that's how it starts. And if they're feeling overwhelmed, then do we have some type of educational program out there now, or do we need to come up with something, some type of standardized testing or standardized views, so where we can start talking to our younger group of people and get them on board to understand how to cope with life in general. And nothing hard. I mean, something as a parent, not knowing my ABCs is not going to be something major for me, but obviously for if I had a 5-year-old and they were learning their ABCs and they just can't get it, and how frustrating that would be, and then how the other kids might make fun of my child because they don't know their ABCs and they feel withdrawn, and then from there it could start even that early. So mental health is such a very delicate thing, and we just have to kind of come together and decide, where do we start? Where do we start helping people? Is it prevention, where we're doing prevention for screenings for now, prostate cancer or different types of cancer and different types of other diseases that one can get? But we can do a lot of prevention either just by eating right and sleeping and doing what we're supposed to correctly, that can prevent that, to help make you live a very long and healthy life. Do we need to do that with our kids and how they are? They need to make sure they're getting 8 hours of sleep. Are we making sure that we're policing them and taking their phones from them so where they can get that rest versus being on social media all day long? Do we start talking when we take them to the doctor for I just took mine to the doctor just yesterday for their physical to go back to school on Tuesday. We talked about their whole body, but none of them, we never talk about their mind and where their head is at, and how their minds and how they're processing all the different things that is going on in their lives and the struggles that they're going through. I know you guys are probably saying, William, we're tired of you talking. Why don't you give us another quick commercial? So we're going to go back to the overhead, and we're back with a nice commercial on Bronzeville Speaks. That's coming up the third Saturday in September. We're doing opioids. This particular Bronzeville Speak is opioids, the addiction crisis, a community response. We have a statewide community forum for change. And that'll be the third Saturday in September. And I forgot to tell everybody, September 11th is my birthday. So make sure you guys call up and wish me happy birthday that particular week, because that's 2 days before I'll be back on the air here. Okay. I am really rolling here today. I'm running out of time with all the good stuff that I'm talking about. What do you guys think out there? Okay, you guys are thinking really hard on me today. You're leaving me to just keep pushing. So I'm going to keep pushing, and we're going to talk about intervention and prevention. So that's a good area. So intervention and prevention. So I was giving a little talk about prevention by how we could start as early as our grade school kids, and how, like I said yesterday, at the doctor's office doing their physical, I'm more concerned about their height, their weight, their BMI, their BMI and all that stuff. And I know the whole thought of their mind and their mental, is it being developed? Are their heads growing big enough that their brain has enough room in there to continue to grow and do all the positive things? Or to see any signs of any problems? Would even discuss that with the doctor. But I would definitely do that when I have my follow-up, since they had to get a bunch of shots. How do you guys do it? Do you guys talk to their primary care doctor about their minds and how their minds are developing? Are there any tests out there that anybody know about that's out there to help seeing that our kids are going mentally correct? Intervention can start early. We talk about the post-traumatic syndrome that the kids are now in certain communities where they hear bullets every night or every other night is whirling past their windows and stuff, and they have to sleep very low, and they wake up and they see crime tape around their block, and somebody might have got shot or something happens, and that gives them a dramatic, that really hurts them and have an effect on them and how they act. That people are beginning to be more and more disrespectful, and not even wanting to walk to school, and so on and so forth. And how do we impact that, or how do we change those means to help to prevention and intervention in our youth? So once we get them online and going, they could be the ones that actually teach not only can they teach the next generation that's behind them, they sometimes are great peer advocates that they can teach their classmates to become one like them. Let me see. So, health services. There's a lot of not-for-profits in the health service area. Do any of the health service people out there, how do you guys deal with tackling people when it comes to mental health and physical health? I guess if you're physically healthy, you don't need opioids because you're not in pain. If you're taking it because of pain, bad toothache, or I busted up my knee so when I was at college, and so opioids was obviously around, but I dealt with the pain and got my knee fixed. So I didn't really get caught up in that. But I know some kids who have some kids who want to actually be professional sports athletes, and they play through the pain, or they keep playing, or they keep going on because they know they have to suck it, as we like to tell our kids, suck it up and keep it going. And we're starting them younger and younger with sports and playing on teams and traveling teams and doing stuff like that they're hurting themselves, and they're not dealing with that part of it. So there's always something that caused the overall problem that we have. Let me see. They told me to do another commercial break. Okay, here we go over here. Just to let everybody know again, the Grand Boulevard Coalition, the Grand Boulevard Prevention Service agencies will be partnering with various hair shops, barbershops. I think ladies go to beauty salons or salons. I don't know, because I don't have no hair, period. And they're going to be doing a wonderful Monday, September 3rd, back to school, free haircuts and hairdos. Some of the participating locations in Bronzeville, just check where you get your hair cut or your daughter's hair done and see if they're participating. It's the 16th annual one, so quite a few of those locations in Bronzeville definitely help and be a part of it. And if there's some last minute school supplies that you didn't get, a couple more pencils and backpacks and stuff, those things would be at some of those places, so make sure you grab you one of those also. Great. I'm back. All right. I might be ready for Channel 7 pretty soon. So, as we get down to the last couple of minutes here, time flies. I didn't know I could talk this long, but I wish that my friends would have called in and gave me their opinions and see. I know it's a holiday weekend, so probably everybody's on the road and getting out of Chicago and going on to wherever they go for holiday. Well, I will still be here campaigning to mobilize community-driven health services. That's my goal. That's what I do every day. And when I get off from my regular job, that's what I work with. I'm getting my youth, my kids involved in giving back and speaking to, my high school kids are going to their grade schools to speak. Oh, wait a minute, I got a caller. Okay, I got a quick minute, let me grab this caller. Caller?
I just wanted to know, did you all have a website, and how can I reach you all?
We do have a website. It'll be GOO.gl/BPQQYR. So that's going to be GOO.gl/BPQQYR. I apologize for not having something a little better in reference to the website. Our Grand Boulevard Coalition website.org website itself is under reconstruction, and they're giving me the shut up, time's up wave. I'll make sure that, caller, thank you for calling. I'll make sure you have that next week if you don't get it. But we do have a Facebook page for Grand Boulevard Coalition. Thank you, everybody, and have a good holiday. Be safe.